Good evening. My name is Eric Termuende, and before I get started, I just want to say a sincere thank you to Dr. Cannon and the University of Calgary for having me, us as speakers, and us as delegates here and listeners to tonight's talk. I am the author of Rethink Work, a lead content strategist for True Calling Canada, founder of Now Innovations, and an international speaker, and it truly is an honor to be here to speak about a topic that I'm so passionate about. That topic includes the next generation, it includes people, it includes leadership, and it's all based on the idea of work, which still has a bit of a dirty connotation to it, right? Something we don't like to do, something we feel like we have to do. And if we go back to industrial times, let's say, early 40s, 50s, work was a bit of a transactional experience where we could check in and check out. It was that 9 to 5 that we've been hearing so much about. But we're living in a day and age now where work isn't so much about that transactional experience. Actually, it's a bigger identifier of who we are now than it's ever been before, just by virtue of being able to work more hours, being able to work from more places, and being able to use more technology. I don't know about you, but on my way here, I had my headphones in and I was on a conference call at dinner. When I'm stirring the spaghetti pot, I'm either doing emails or I've got something on my headphones, and before bed, I'm sure much like you, I'm doing those last couple emails or just touching up those last couple things or last bit of a report before the morning. So work isn't so much that transactional experience anymore. It's actually more all-consuming than it's ever been. And as a result, I think that when we're looking to attract and retain people into this world of work, we're not evolving with the times. We're not looking at the future of work. We're not looking at the next generation of work, nor are we looking at the next generation of people, which is where I think the huge opportunity is. Because for so long, what we've been doing is we've been talking about what people are and not who they are. Let me give you an example. You might be female. You might be of a millennial generation. You might be of a visible minority. And each time we talk about what we are, we tie a lot of stereotypes or generalizations to who these people are. And let me give you an example. I am a millennial, which means I'm a narcissistic, job-hopping, not loyal, basement-dwelling, Netflix-watching, Xbox-playing individual that probably isn't going to contribute much to my society. I'm not going to be able to hold a job. I'm not going to be any good at what I'm doing. I'm going to be holding or just asking and grabbing from my parents' wallets and purses as much and infrequently as possible. And so I'm battling, as a millennial, these generalizations and these stereotypes about who I am based on what I am. Now, if I'm a male, I'm battling a lot of these generalizations as well, similar to females who are battling a lot of their generalizations, visible minorities who are battling a lot of their generalizations. And as a result, what we're trying to do is group people, categorize people, filter people so that we can understand them. But just because we're female and 30 and of a visible minority doesn't at all articulate who we are. And when we talk about the next generation of work, and when we talk about the next generation of people in general, what I set out to do last year with a good friend of mine, David Allison in Vancouver, is we set out to understand if what we were really mattered. And in some cases it did, but in some cases it didn't. So we commissioned, through a PhD study, 26,000 surveys through Canada and the United States. And what we looked to do is to find out if what we were really mattered. In many cases it wasn't. And I want to share one of the biggest variables that we found with you today. What we found is that of these 26,000 surveys that we administered, 11% of the people identified themselves to be incredibly creative, meaning they did something that was creative more than 5 hours a week. Of these people that identified themselves to be extremely creative, what we found is that 98% of their values, wants, needs, and expectations correlated. It didn't matter if they were male, female, older, younger, white, Aboriginal, or anything in between. It was who these people were that ultimately brought them together. And this is where the opportunity is. Because when we talk about the next generation of educational institutions, of places to work, of communities to be a part of, we have this opportunity, this great opportunity to bring people together based on who they are and not what they are. Because if we can bring a community of creative people together under the same roof, imagine the community that we can build. Imagine that sense of belonging. There's endless conversation about what we're not. And I think that's really interesting because from a company point of view, we try, from let's just say a tech company point of view, we try to be the next Google. From an educational institution point of view, we try to be the next Harvard. We try to be things that we're not. And what I'm here to say, and what I've found is the biggest learning, is what I'm not and what you're not is what makes us who we are. And who we are and making us really unique is the importance of really being able to build strong communities, whether it's at work, whether it's at school, or whether it's home. Because if we can build these incredible communities based on who we are and not what we are, then I think that not only can we create better places to work, better places to learn, but better lives to live. And as this comes into this world of technological evolution, what's interesting is that just last year alone, a zettabyte of information was transferred across the World Wide Web. And a zettabyte, for those of you who don't know, is 1,000 megabytes, or the equivalent of 250 billion DVDs. Last year, to add a little bit more to this, what is happening is in the last 2 years, 90% of the information in the world was created and put on the web, just in the last 2 years. And so what this tells me is the world is getting noisier, it's getting busier, and it's getting harder and harder to filter and to understand, which is why we're more and more inclined to categorize and group people based on ways that we think we can understand them better. But what I'm here to say is that I think the key to leadership, the key to creating great communities, and the key to really capitalizing the next generation is understanding what we're not, being proud of it, and really bringing together people based on who they are and not what they are. So for the next 50 years, I'd like to make a toast to you as individuals, to you as leaders, to focus not just on what you are, but based on who you are and the building of the communities and the sense of belonging that we all have the ability to do. Thank you very much.